Here we go again, another episode of Street Scene Power Hour. This is the 12th episode, and we have the incredible Larry Ward as our host down here, and the less incredible Rick Herrera.
Yay! That's incredible. Boy, I'm getting ripped on lately, huh?
I can't help it. That's just part of the fun here.
Yeah.
Special guest, Dave Bayowski.
Hey, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for coming and joining us with your expertise and knowledge and everything that goes with having you as a guest here. So
thanks for the opportunity.
Great. All right, Rick, let's get started. We're going to have a little bit of fun on this podcast here because I've got some terms that are going to run by everybody and see if they can actually get some of these terms that, you know, I've got one for Larry. I've got one. I'm going to start this off. I got one for you. We're going to try to get these a little bit easy and then start off hard. For motorcycle guys, hack. What is a hack?
Sidecar.
A what?
A hack.
That's called a
sidecar.
Wait a minute. I see something wrong right out of the get-go. First thing you say is, let's start off with something easy. Oh, let's go to the motorcycle guy.
I never heard of it before, Larry.
Exactly, because I didn't hear of it before either. So it's easy for the motorcycle guys. For the car guys, like, you know, more me and Rick's area, I didn't know what the heck it was.
Is that a new term or an old term or what?
No. Oh my God, no, it's old.
It's an old term.
Older than me.
I wonder where that come from.
I don't know. Probably because most of these guys hacked all these things together.
Well, I tell you what, for the car guys here, we're gonna have one. And how about a beach wagon?
Oh, I know what that is.
Dave?
Beach wagon.
Beach wagon, I would think, had a surfboard on top.
Station wagon.
Station wagon.
Station wagon. So,
yeah.
All right, let's get started. I had to throw a few of those zingers in, but Dave, you know, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, I'm a car guy from day one. I inherited the sickness from my dad. He was a car guy back in 1946. He bought a Lincoln Continental Cabriolet, cheaper than he could buy a Ford, and that's still in the family.
You got really? Wow.
Yeah.
Did he buy brand new?
Yep, we still have that. And I guess no, it was used. It was a 41. He bought it in 46.
Oh, okay.
For $650. And that's kind of our pride and joy, but I've got to get it out and moving again. From day one, I guess I've always been around cars, and then I had the opportunity to, while I was even going to school, start doing restoration work in my dad's yard. And so I guess from the day I was 15, I had a car when I was 15, as long as I kept my grades up. I had my first car was a 55 Olds, and had a lot of rust repairs to make on it, learned how to do it, did a few cars for other people, started in the restoration. Through the years, had restoration business, been involved with tire business with wholesale tire, and always automotive. We had a alignment shop at one time. And since 1979, I've been in my own business with Mahoning Auto and buying, selling collector cars, and also doing appraisals.
Wow. So you got the sickness from your dad. It sounds like the rest of us that got a sickness from at least a family member.
Yeah, I got it from my brother.
Yeah, or a friend or something that you know, that it's got to be in your blood somewhere. But Mahoning County Auto, you have a shop.
Yep.
Where's that at?
I'm sorry, Mahoning.
You're Mahoning County Auto. You have a shop.
Yeah, Mahoning Auto's in North Jackson.
There you go. Okay.
And I'm in a building that is part of an old lumber yard. I bought 6 buildings out there that were closed down in 79 and started fixing them up
Oh,
and
wow.
put my business out there. So that's where I've got quite a few cars for sale and operate out of that.
Now,
I s-
yeah, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. I saw Dave at the Father's Day car show with this sweet, what was that, a 65 Cutlass?
67 Cutlass.
67.
Triple yellow convertible.
Triple yellow. Boy, was that thing pretty. In fact, it was so pretty, it made the front page of the Sharon Herald. and Dave made the front page of the Sharon Herald too. That was a beautiful car. Never saw one like that before. What frame is that on, Dave?
I'm sorry.
What frame is that on? Like for the GM?
Yeah, mid-size GM, same as
Mhm.
Buick Skylark
All right.
or Chevelle.
And the
Mid-size
Chevelle.
GM car.
Okay. But that's a pretty one. You don't see too many of those. Plus it's a
No.
convertible too. So
If it
And
was
plus
that
it's-
often. Yeah.
impressive triple yellow. What size motor are you sporting in that?
It's got a 455 in it, which is not original to the car.
Mm-hmm.
The fellow I bought it from prior, he came out of Georgia and he did the work on it and he put the drive line in out of a 70 442 into it. So other than that, it's kind of stock on the outside, but a really nice driver.
Yeah, that's a pretty one. That's the first time I've seen it. That's a beauty. Do you know you have any numbers on that? How many triple yellow ones were made?
No, I don't, to be honest with you. I
Mhm.
don't know that combination. I know it's also got a turnpike, what they call the turnpike cruiser kit in it also.
Okay.
And what's that?
It had some options like the 442
Mhm.
on the undercarriage and ride and rear end combination. And I guess it just makes it more of a turnpike cruiser. That's probably why they called it that. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
That's an automatic, right? On that one.
Yeah, it's automatic 400. Mhm.
Yeah. Larry, what do you got coming up motorcycle wise?
Well, actually, I don't have anything. I just bought a Harley Bagger, a 1990 out of Fallensby, West Virginia. And I got it home this past week, about 2 weeks ago, I bought it. And I went through the whole bike and changed the oil in the filter, transmission, primary, went in and adjusted the clutch, pulled the carburetor, rebuilt that and put a different kit in it to control the idle mixture. So you don't put a screwdriver up there. You just grab a hold of the bottom of a little knurled knob and you can adjust the idle mixture screw. So, and I've been kind of riding around with it a little bit. I'm in the middle of trying to find out what caused the breakdown. I rode a KLR 650. It's a single cylinder adventure bike up to Canaan Valley last weekend and managed to get 480 miles before I lost all the coolant. And then I found out that due to the pandemic, Enterprise sold off a lot of the vehicles. So they pleasantly told me in not an American voice that there's no vehicles to rent within 65 miles. So luckily I found I found a U-Haul.
If you can rent them, they're expensive as heck too, you know.
Yeah, so I found a U-Haul down in a little town and I rented a cube van. So it had like a Dodge front end and a big giant square box in the back.
Yeah.
And so I backed up to a hill and pushed the bike down the hill and onto the truck and loaded up. And $300 later, I got home. So I'm trying to figure out why I've got a coolant leak because I've got coolant in the oil and I'm not getting far enough to suspect a head gasket or a cracked head.
That's what I was thinking.
So I'm first doing the easy stuff, rebuilding the water pump and making sure that thing's ready to go. And I put a thing called a thermobob on it, which is a bypass system. So I can bypass the thermostat if something goes wrong or whatever. So I'm going to do those things first. But today I'm going to get on the bike when I get done with the show. I'm going down to Giant Eagle and I'm going to pick up 12-pack of Miller Lite, which my buddies like. They're all camping out. They call this camping out. They're in 28, 30-foot motorhomes, right? So they said, yeah, come on out, spend the night, and you can camp out. And I go, well, what are we glamping? That's called glamping now, instead of camping. So we're on 28-foot motorhomes with air conditioning, and the only time you go outside is around the fire pit. So I'm gonna get the beer. They got the go put out there tonight.
Well, it's not easy. We're all getting older. Sleeping on that hard ground is just not comfortable.
No,
if you're a kid, you could sleep. Yeah, but
I told you, I went to Daytona this year, and my buddies were at a campground that I hadn't been at for 15 years. But I thought, well, I'll go down, I'll camp out, and I'll be one of the good old boys. Well, on my way down there, I get a phone call saying, hey, we're not at the campground anymore. Now, these guys have been at this campground for 15 years. Here they got into some hullabaloo fist fight and got thrown out. The sheriff even came and threw them out. So I get there expecting to have a bunch of buddies. I got nobody. So I got to mooch over when I see a fire going on. And I'll tell you, the first 2 nights were 41 degrees and 42 degrees. I froze my ass off. And then on top of that, one of the guys come over with I never knew that they made those, those little hand warmers that you punch up and they chemical and they make it hot. Well, they got a giant thing like that. You can put on your feet over your stuff. Well, I didn't know that. Of course, they gave it to me on a night that was 65 degrees. So, so I'm done with that camping. I mean, I'm going to avoid that like the plague because I get up and it looks like I've got polio, man. I mean, I can't walk. I can't even stand upright. And when I get out of a tent, I'm telling you, when I get out of a tent, it's like, I don't know if this happens to you guys yet. I have to actually stand up. And it's like you're waiting for everything to sort out. I have to stand there for about a minute before I can move to make sure, okay. So I don't do that. But I would like to talk about a car event coming up that I think we had talked about before, but it now is going to be this Sunday. Is it okay?
Yeah, hit it.
All right. The Mahoning Valley Corvette Club is coming up with their Corvette and Steel Car Show. That will be at Greenwood Chevrolet. That'll start around 10 a.m. this coming Sunday. Bring the kids out. I'm telling you, you're going to have the largest display of all kinds of Corvettes from 1953 to a 2020. And they're going to be there on display. It doesn't cost you anything. Bring the kids. Last time we had this 2 years ago, there were 300 Corvettes. So we've got the whole big lot that Greg Greenwood built in the back. And that's where we're going to hold the whole car show. I mean, it's like a 2-acre kind of thing. So we expect that kind of numbers out there. There will be food vendors there. And of course, there'll be some of the coolest cars around, not only the Corvettes, but a lot of the steel cars will be there.
So we're talking June 27th.
So if you're listening to the podcast, June 27th is when the Greenwood Chevrolet, the Corvette
is and was.
Yeah, and if you're watching the broadcast, it was last week or the week before, and you missed it. So,
what time's it start?
So look for the next one.
I think, everybody will be there early, but I think cars can start coming in around 9 a.m. and they will be lined up. It's an event. We do it every year. We've got a couple charities, and this year it's the disabled veterans in Youngstown that we're working very hard. They will be on hand. We're hoping to raise a lot of money for them. They do a lot of good things, and all the money does stay right here in Mahoning County. So that's kind of neat.
So that's Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown, right?
Yes,
right?
sir.
Okay.
And
then right after that.
Yeah, just to be clear, that's for all cars. It's you're going to have a ton of Corvettes there, but Rick and I have featured that show on Street Scene.
Yeah. We've done it a couple of times, I think, right? Yeah, 2 or 3 times.
Anything goes.
Yeah, that's it's called the Corvette and Steel Car, all steel body car show. Yep. So I think it'll be a lot of fun, and I think people are looking forward to it. I think every event that you go to this year, until the government tries to cut us back and keep us in our homes, but every event will be well attended this year.
Let's hope weather possible, weather permitting.
You got that little thing about the government. You guys like that?
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
of course. You know what's going to happen next? Listen. Let me in.
But anyway, we won't get into that because I've been hearing that they're going to cut back on this stuff for years. So I don't believe any of it. But anyway, all
Well,
right.
I just wanted to give Greg a panic attack there. You know, he's
No. No panic attacks because, nobody's going to take my stuff. So
Nobody's gonna take your stuff.
nobody's
Here we go.
taking.
I got to throw another one at you, Larry.
Oh,
Lump mill. What is that? Lump. How about that term? Lump mill.
I think
Lump
that
mill?
they're talking about the displacement, like it's a big inch motor. It's
Got
a
it.
lump.
Yep. Lump mill. Do you know that one, Rick or Dave?
No, never
No,
heard of it. Huh?
Never heard of it
Come
either.
on, man. Come on. You're
Come
giving the
on.
motorcycle guy easy softball questions here. Come on.
Oh, come on.
I thought you were
Well,
getting on my. I thought you were
What
getting
is
on my
a
case
blower?
again. Call me a lump.
Yeah. I'm waiting for Larry. What is a blower?
A blower. Well, there's a lot of terms for that, but we'll just take the one that's
Take
on
the
the car
the
itself.
G-rated one.
Oh man, I can just
Uh-huh.
see those sensors coming out.
Easy one for the car guys.
Dave,
And then
Yeah.
how about a term, Dave or Rick? Bobbed. What does the term bobbed mean in car world?
I know
That's
it
a
means
that's a motorcycle term.
yeah, that's a
It makes-
motorcycle term. Yeah,
actually, it means the same for both car and motorcycle.
I never heard it in a car
Bob
term.
means you're going to bob the fenders.
Yep. Shorten
Cut 'em.
fenders, cut them.
Got them.
Yep.
I'm,
So
I'm losing this game.
yeah, well, I've got the advantage because I got all the answers right here.
So you can use that. I've heard the bob cycles and everything. It was bobbed it out and all that, but I never
Yep,
heard that
so
in the cars.
Bobbed means shortened fenders, sometimes shortened hood or frame rails. So,
Mhm.
Okay.
Dave, you appraise cars, correct?
Yes, sir.
And, how did you learn to do the appraisals? Because, we have our
I'm losing
friend
you.
Mike Clem that does appraisals also. And,
I think Dave taught him.
Yep.
Yeah,
And,
Mike works with me.
yep.
Mhm.
And, it sounds like there's a lot that goes into that you have to know just pretty much everything what you're looking for. What do you look for when you're looking at appraisals for cars or anything like that?
Well, we've got a couple of 100-point inspection that we actually do on a car first. And then we go into the books after we get the information, do the actual physical inspection of the car. Then we try to determine the value by averaging number one book values. We quite often get 4 or 5 different book values. And then we check auction values to back up the book values. So it's kind of an average of everything there that we end up with. And it takes generally an hour to do a car.
Okay.
And we try to be quite efficient about it when we do it because we're certified. So we are recognized by the court system and by the insurance companies. Primarily do it in a tri-county area. And we do straight rods, customs, and stock. And once in a while we'll get into motorcycles, and then I have to call usually a professional in if it's something custom on a motorcycle. And but quite often it's just hanging in with cars and trucks and customs, etc.
Is there very many appraisers around Mahoning Valley?
Well, there's a lot of people that call themselves appraisers, but very few that are actually certified and take the training and stuff.
Okay. So you got a
we have-
certificate and everything now, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a training organizations, International Automotive Appraisers Association that I'm with. And generally every 2 or 3 months, we have a training session and we have auctions that we attend and meetings there. And we go to Hershey, Carlisle, usually have a meeting at one of those locations to keep us updated big thing right now is to, when there's disputed values after a car's been repaired, something like that, we're getting quite involved with those type of deals, and diminished value on cars. A lot of people don't realize that after a car's been damaged, there's diminished value on it. And most insurance companies are not real happy about reimbursing the customers for that. So that's a big part of our business too.
And let me ask a question here, because clearly, quote, the insurance companies are the ones that you have insurance who are supposed to be on your side. But I don't always find that to be the case, especially when it comes to motorcycles or when it comes to custom pieces. So I think the value of having an appraiser that is recognized by the insurance industry can mean literally everything for your car, van, truck, airplane, custom rod, whatever, because like you said, it assures you of what the actual value is, and the insurance company then can see it as they insure it, insure it for, I forgot what the term they used.
Agreed value, Larry?
Agreed value. Good. That's
Right.
exactly right. My Harley's on agreed value because I got it really inexpensive, but I could not replace it for what I got it for. So I went to agreed value. But having that piece of paper and the documentation through the photographs and somebody that's certified, I think is ludicrous if you do not do something like that. You're really jeopardizing, the money that you have put into that. Not being able to get it back out, because they're not your friends. They're in a business to make money, and that's how they make money.
Mm-hmm.
You're exactly right. There's a big difference in the insurance policies, and a lot of times we just educate our customers on the differences between stated value and agreed value, and try to help them out, with the consulting end of the appraisal to direct them in the right way as far as insurance goes.
Hey, Dave, say you appraise a car, we'll say roughly $35,000. Someone wants to sell the car. Are you right at 35 with it? Or can you get above that or below that? Or is that just a starting point?
I always recommend that they naturally ask them a higher figure, at least 10 or 20% when they're advertising it, because most people are going to buy it cheaper. You want to end up at least close to that appraised value when you come down to it. Now in a lot of cases on street rods, especially, we try to include any extras to the vehicles as far as the quality, workmanship, the materials that are put in a car. And what happens is so many times, as it is restoring a car, you end up with putting a lot more money into it than what we can actually appraise it at. So we try to protect the customer as much as we can and go by the auction. Some of the auctions will be higher than the book values, and that enters into our figure that we try to maintain a good figure on what that car should be worth retail, and then let the customer know that if he's going to sell it, that you might have to take a 5 or 10% hit on it.
Some people have the understanding, like they built this car. I got $55,000-$60,000 into this car. That's what it's worth. And it's not always like that, is it?
It depends on the car. I mean, do you see, you've done this a long time, Dave. Where are the trends at right now as far as what's kind of tanking and what is really skyrocketing?
Trends, I see going, especially in our area, people like an affordable car. So they're getting into the 80s right now. 60s and 70s are really,
yay!
And these are really important vehicles to have appraised, because the insurance companies do not want to pay what some of these cars are worth, especially if you get into a Camaro Z or any of the Cutlass or 442s or whatever. Even the 80s, the Cutlasses are hot right now. Camaros, Firebirds, and they're more affordable. So as the prices go up, 60s and 70s, people can afford them. They're going after the 80s cars, and I've seen a big jump in the sales of those just in the last year or two.
Well, Rick, you had that 87 Camaro convertible.
Yeah.
And, the price range, what you sold it when? How many years ago is that?
I probably sold that about 12 years ago or something,
Okay.
10, 12 years ago. Yeah.
And Rick, that was one of what, 500 built convertible?
Convertibles. Yeah. That was,
Again, what are the price ranges of those now? That was a pretty rare car when you had it. And now the price range for an 87 Camaro convertible,
that was a Z28.
Yeah.
Okay. But it was like 150 horsepower or something. It didn't have much in it.
That's an 80s car for you.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Yeah, and see, those cars are going close to 20. Some of them close to $20,000 figure.
Should have
Wow.
guessed, Rick.
They're getting up there.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
Dave, how about the retro mods, Dave? I see these people getting an old Corvette, dropping a brand new crate engine in it and everything. And
That's
it
another
doubles.
thing.
And it doubles.
Resto mods are hot right now.
Yeah.
And that's a tough thing for appraisers because, again, it depends on the quality that it's built into that car.
Mhm.
And we quite often appraise them well over 100,000.
There was
And you do see them going for $100,000 to $200,000 at the auctions, but
Yep.
it's nothing to see. I've done several probably in the last year or so that are between $80,000 to $130,000.
Mhm. I ran into this fellow a couple of weeks ago at a car show. He had a 66 Corvette convertible, blue with a white, absolutely gorgeous, sat perfectly, just everything. And I went to talk to him. He opened up the hood and I go, whoa. He had an LS motor in it and everything underneath was fixed up. And I
Big
said,
block.
what? I said, yeah. I said, what do you think this thing's worth? And he goes, I paid $80,000 for it 4 years ago. So and I'm going, I think it's worth a lot more than that right now. So am I right or am I wrong?
You know what? I lost you there on the screen for a while, but
Okay.
what did he have under the hood?
He had an LS motor on there, brand new one, like for 4 years ago. And he had all
Okay.
the suspension changed and everything, but it looked stock. Until you open that hood, that car looked stock and it was beautiful.
So, well, that could have been over $100,000 car. But again,
Mhm.
depends on how it was built.
Yeah.
Suspension, if he's got a late model. There was that 55 Corvette at the show.
That's
And
right.
That was
The
a
white
short
one.
car. Yeah. Now, somebody probably paid more for that car than what we might be able to appraise it at. But
Mhm.
those cars are coming around. The resto mods are hot right now.
That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at that more and more every day. Once I get rid of my Thunderbird, I want a car that I can start up, drive it from here to California and back, and not have any problems with it. And if I do have a problem, I can just take it to the local garage.
I have
Rick.
to get on you, Rick. You want a car that you can go to the damn store with.
I
right
got
up the
that.
road.
I got that now. That's all the further I can go.
Oh, really?
But no,
Yeah.
I
Well,
got
it makes it that far.
I got
Oh,
it.
I'm
here's the
sorry. I
problem.
have to get on this case.
I know.
Well,
Rick
you just
Sutherbury's
got
always
to get
working
the
on it.
bugs. You just got to get the bugs out of it.
And every
The
year they
problem
keep
with-
crawling in. And,
Yeah,
it's
the
50,
problem
it's 50, it's
Right, yeah.
56 years old. So, or 57 now. So
Sorry, Rick. I had to get on you just a little bit because
that's all right.
Well, you know what the problem with Rick trying to get rid of that car is twofold. Number one, it has to run. That's the first problem.
Oh, she runs good now.
Two,
She runs really
Yeah,
good.
number
now.
two, you have to find somebody that wants that car.
Right.
right?
You know what? When I bought that car, I didn't fall in love with it. I fell in lust with it. Okay. And I lusted over the car and you got to watch. That car was built for show. And boy, it's a little different car than a regular car, And
but it's a beautiful car.
It's
And
a
I have to say it's gorgeous.
yes, it
One
is.
car.
Yes, it is.
And the values have been coming up on this.
Yeah, because I know, for a while they were down, and then all of a sudden
Right.
they go up, and I think it's worth about $100,000 right now, right, Dave?
Whatever you say.
Does it run, Rick?
Oh,
The
it's
appraised
oh, I really
value.
It runs like a beast. Won't burn any tires though, but it's a good car.
Dave, I got a question for you. What I've seen, trying to follow trends. There's two things I have a question for you is one, the truck market. How is the truck market, for a while there, it's like, oh, I can get a nice square box or, square body Chevy truck from the 70s and 80s for a couple $1,000s. It seems like those are just really skyrocket.
All the trucks have gone up. I would say from probably the 50s to even going into the 80s now are really appreciating big time.
Yeah.
And whether it's stock or whether you pro street it or make a touring out of it, the values have gone crazy. And I can't even believe the prices on Broncos and Blazers.
Oh man, they're up there
They're
60,
going.
70, $80,000 right now.
They weren't
Wow.
they weren't a top quality vehicle
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
back when they were built, but they're going crazy in prices. It's hard to keep up on some of these, really. And I think
built to
people,
drive,
right.
They were just. Now, my question, another one I had, I'm sorry to, but what about a Ram Charger? I always think of those three. You had the Broncos, you had the Blazers, and then the Ram Chargers. Also.
The Ram Charger.
They always seem to not hold their value as much as a Blazer or especially a Bronco.
Well, you're right. And for some reason, I don't know why, one of the hotter ones, some of the Mopars, the Dakotas, some of the more rare ones have really taken off. Dakotas, and they made a little pickup truck that was a convertible, very collectible now.
My buddy has one of those.
Yeah, they're just neat trucks. And the what they call them, the little
Little red
Red-
truck.
little red.
Yeah, the
Red.
Dodge made that.
Yeah, and the
Yeah, the Little Red Express.
Mhm,
Red
that's it.
Express, and then they made a black edition, black and gold edition. They called it I forgot.
Oh, I
but
don't know.
Pittsburgh
I don't think I've
Steeler.
A Steeler car.
seen one
they're becoming quite valuable.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
The one last question I have for, along that line, at least I was thinking of, there for a while, they had, the originality. If it was a Survivor or original car, those were skyrocketing. Have those kind of plummeted now for demand?
Not really. Original
Okay.
cars are still maintaining a very good value.
Okay.
Number one restored, and an original car are still maintaining probably the highest values of all the stock vehicles.
Okay. I didn't know if those are starting to go down. 'Cause I know we were talking with Nate Miller, Ian's Buckeye Auto Restoration there. And he said, and this was a while back, I think Rick and I were talking on a show, and he said how the Mustangs were starting to just plummet in value. And I'm like, really? I really didn't realize that the Mustang market was kind of just pulling back a little bit.
Saturated, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, how about
Survivors
this?
and barn finds.
Okay. Dave, how about does a color hurt a car?
As far as the numbers matching, is that what you're referring to?
No, just like the color itself. Say you got a car and it's white, or if it's red, or an odd
Pea
color. Yeah, pea green.
Well-
Yeah, like some of those Corvettes and everything.
On certain vehicles, it can hurt it.
Mhm.
I find most of the time Chevy products, Corvette, anything like that, if you change from what the numbers are original, you're
Mhm.
usually hurting the value. But there's a lot of vehicles out there. If it's not a desirable color, you're probably better off. If you're building it for yourself and you want to put a different color on it, you might really be improving your car.
Mhm.
But it all depends on, whether you're doing a number one, number two, three car. Number one, usually you want to keep it original the way it is.
Mhm.
When you get into building something for yourself or
So what? Oh, sorry,
a
you're
driver,
breaking up.
you're not necessarily hurting the value on that number two or three car by changing the color.
Any suggestions on people that want to personalize their car? What should they do? Should they keep all the old parts and sell them with it if they ever sell the car? Or put it back together before they sell it, you know.
Well,
So a
that's
lot of people put different rims on it and this and that, you know, and some people get a little bit carried away too. So then you
again, Rick, it depends on the vehicle itself.
Mhm.
And if you're changing a Chevelle or Camaro from the original, you want to keep all the original parts. And if you do sell the car, definitely it's going to increase the value to have those parts go with it, if that's what you're asking.
Yes. So if you would sell it, say, okay, I personalized this car, but here I got a box full of parts that are all original here. If you want to put it back, right? That's the best thing to do, right?
Right.
Don't sell off the old parts. That's what I'm trying to get to. Yeah.
Exactly. This, you know, for example, I appraised a Shelby Mustang, pretty much an original car several years ago, and the smog system was taken off. And that
Okay.
to an original car really hurts the value, because even though we didn't want to have that smog system on back in the late 60s, right now, if you have one, it adds, if it's completely original and you have those parts to it, there's a considerable difference in the value of it.
Wow.
Well, you know what? We had Mike, are you there, Mike?
I am. How
All
you
right.
doing?
Yay,
Mike Corbin,
welcome
he's
to the
joined-
show.
We just
Welcome
had
to the
Mike
show.
Corbin join us. And
Yay, Mike.
Mike, you know, we're happy to have you join in on our podcast here at the Street Scene Power Hour. Mike, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Mike Corbin. I run the Corbin Seat Company. We've been in business 53 years. Started full-time in 1968. We make high-end aftermarket motorcycle saddles primarily. We also have a line of fairings and saddlebags.
All right. And I know Larry's got a bunch of questions for you, but I'm going to throw this at you.
Uh-oh.
And again, here we go. Here's
He's
the
asking
terms.
trivia questions. Mike.
Trivia.
Trivia
Here we
questions.
go. All right. I had one picked out. What's a tiddler?
Tiddler.
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 Yes.
I know what that is.
All right.
I'll let Mike, you want to take a shot at that?
I have no idea what that is.
Me either.
Larry.
A tiddler is what we refer to as a small displacement motorcycle, a 250cc or under.
Okay. Geez, Larry's killing this today.
Yeah, he's winning all the money today, huh?
All
Big
right.
bucks.
Okay. The last question right now. What do you, an elephant for the car guys?
Car
Elephant.
guys know that.
What's an elephant?
I know what it is, but I'll let.
No, shut up,
David.
Larry. You're answering all the questions today.
That must be too new for me.
Shows you the motorcyclists know more.
Elephant.
Is that somebody who puts a lot of money into their car or
We'll
something?
throw it's a Mopar term. Let's put it that way. What's the
Oh.
elephant?
And they're around $25,000 to $30,000.
Yeah, unless you go to Doc Snyder's, it has the racing version of the elephant.
Oh,
426 Hemi.
that's the
right.
elephant, huh?
The elephant.
Oh, I never heard that.
If you guys got it right at home, you're well on your way to winning absolutely nothing from that.
Nothing.
Larry, take it away for us.
I am pretty excited to introduce Mike Corbin. He is one of the most iconic figures, not only in motorcycling, but certainly in motorcycle saddles and fairings. Mike, I have personally not only used this product, I have purchased several seats. And the thing I liked about the Corbin seats versus a lot of other ones is you could always see the enthusiasm and the style of how the seat looks on the bike. It is a nice looking seat. It's a durable seat. You can get different types of leather and whatnot on it, but it doesn't look like it belongs on a Farmall tractor. It looks like it belongs on either a Harley or a race bike or whatnot. So Mike, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about how you got involved in, the seat making process, because that's not an easy job.
Well, basically, I started from the bottom up back in 1965, I bought a brand new Norton Atlas. And I rode it around, and then I decided to bob it. You know, it was kind of the style in the 60s to alter your bike a little bit. So I bobbed the fenders and I put higher handlebars on it. And, the seat didn't look right. So I took it apart. I reshaped the foam with a turkey knife, electric turkey knife. And the lady next door for me was an industrial seamstress, and I used to plow her driveway in the wintertime. So she made a nice brown leather cover for the seat. And I was in Connecticut at that time. I rode it to Grafton, Vermont, to a rally in the spring. And the guy said, it was all English bikes, you know, a Triumph PSAs. The guy said, so where'd you get the seat, man? I go, well, I made it. So I'd like to buy it. And well, I didn't do it. I didn't make it to sell. I made it for my own bike. And he said, well, I need to have that seat. That thing looks good. And I said, well, how am I going to get home?
Yeah, really.
Nice out, fold up your jacket, ride home on that. He said, I'll give you $40 for the seat. So in those days, I just had materials in it, you know, and I said, well, boy, that sounds pretty good. So I sold the seat. And I rode home on my jacket.
Had you ride home standing up half the way.
And so that was my first sale. I never planned it. I never planned to go into motorcycle business. I actually was a small-time electrical contractor. And I was about 25 years old. Just had gotten out of the Navy when I was 21.
Hey, an old Swabby.
Old Swabby.
Me too.
61 to 64, actually. But so then I started to make another seat in my workshop. I had a workshop in my garage to make electrical panels. And my helper came along and he said, well, you got to make one for my Sportster. Yeah, an Ironhead Sportster. And I go, no, I'm just going to do it for myself. He says, well, if you make me a seat, you don't have to pay me next week. I said, you got a deal. I'll make you.
Wow.
I made him a seat, and he went to the Harley Davidson shop in Hartford, Connecticut on Park Street. Al Scirippo, he was a famous Jack Pine rider in those days and a Harley dealer. He was kind of a hero in Hartford. And he said to Jimmy, he said, where'd you get the seat? He says, well, Mike made it. He says, I thought that guy was an electrician. He goes, yeah, he is. So Sal says, let me call him up. So he calls me up. He says, hey, I need 5 seats by Saturday.
Yeah.
I said, I don't do 5. I just made 2 seats so far. He says, well, I'll give you $25 a piece for it. So I did it. And that's how it all started. After that, I did it full time. Did it part-time for a couple of years. And then when 1969 came, Nixon got elected. He was going to end the Vietnam War, remember? And so most of my work as an electrician revolved around Connecticut, the war companies like Pratt Whitney, Hamilton Standard, Colt. So I thought he was going to end the war. He told everybody he would. So I decided to go full-time making a motorcycle seat.
There you go.
So how about your bike, the one you didn't have a seat on? Did you make another? Obviously, you made another one.
Norton too. Yeah.
Now, how big is the company now?
Well, we're 100 people, and
Starting out for you to 100 people is huge. You know,
yeah, we had at one time, you know, in 2002, we had about 300.
oh wow.
So we had built it up over the years. The interesting thing is I went in business in 1969 as a company, you know, 1969 as a seat company. And no, I didn't plan this at all, but the Easy Rider movie came out, the K1 Honda came out, Steve McQueen was a hero, you know, like everything happened to motorcycling in the early 70s.
Mhm.
In the 60s, there was literally 60,000 new bikes registered in the United States each year. But in
Wow.
the 70s, there was 1.5 million new bikes registered every year in the United States. So I went in business during the big boom time.
Perfect. Now,
Well, I think one of the things that makes the Corbin seat very distinctive is similar to a lot of other manufacturers, but Mike seats are very attractive. They add to the look of the bike. They don't detract from. There are some seats that a lot of the BMW riders use for long distance riding that are very, very good, but they look like they belong on a John Deere tractor. So I like the fact that Mike seats, I can sit on it for 1,000 miles and it'll still look as good today as it will tomorrow or next month or next year. The value of resale on a Corbin seat is extremely high. You get a lot of your money back if you sell your bike and you want to move on and do something different. But what I'd like you to talk about, Mike, is the ingenuity that goes behind a Corbin seat. You have a lot of proprietary stuff in that, like your atomic foam, things like that, that make a Corbin seat unique. So without giving away too many trade secrets, tell our viewers a little bit about, how a seat is constructed and, what makes a Corbin different from many of the other seat manufacturers.
A good question. The main secret, though, is hard work. So it's all about work. Well, we start off and we make a rigid base plate. Like when you buy a new bike, your base plate of your seat is usually plastic. And
Right.
that plastic is fairly pliable. And then when your bike gets hotter, the base plate becomes less rigid. So basically, the base plate has a lot of clearance between the side covers and the gas tank and the rear fenders. So when it flexes down, it doesn't stretch the side covers and stuff. So we always make a FiberTech base plate, which is fiberglass base. So it's really stiff. So now you're building a house on a rigid foundation and temperature doesn't let it give out on it. Or your body weight won't, just shape it.
It's a great point.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the first incredible step. And believe it or not, the OEMs just don't figure that out. They never did.
Well, it's less expensive to put a plastic pan than that. But I can tell you that I've rode on stock seats that were true torture chambers. I mean, that plastic pan, I don't know about all the other stuff, but I do know about flex, and I do know what it does to your sit bones, which are those two little bones in your backside that once they get onto something that's totally compressed now and flat, you're not going to ride that seat much more. I mean, I've been on seats that if I've gotten 90 miles on them, I mean, I literally feel like I can't walk. I got to get off the bike. Whereas when I'm on a Corbin seat, I mean, I've done a couple of my iron butt runs, 1,187 miles in 18 hours on a Corbin seat. So I know the value of having a fiberglass rigid pan. But continue.
Well, so the main thing is the base plate. Then the foam we use, the reason that you get uncomfortable on a stock seat fairly rapidly is the foam is always too soft.
Correct.
It's good in the showroom. When you're out looking at your new bike, I mean, you can sit anywhere on the seat, different size people, and you say, well, the seat's nice and cushy. But your first long ride, you'll fall through it. Then it ages quickly. The foam has got a lot of air in it. Once again, they're saving a lot of money. And the seat's always usually shaped like this. So it hits your body in the center, where a Corbin seat has always got some kind of a concave feature to it, where it's shaped more or less
Right.
like a mirror image of your butt. So then we use stiffer foam. So you got more square inches of body contact, sometimes 300% more square inches of body contact. But it's the correct shape of your body, also like an old metal garden tractor where you could sit on those things all day long, but they were shaped correctly. And then that foam won't give out. It will adapt to you and conform to your body, but it won't go away. So you're sitting on more square inches of body contact area, which means the pressure per square inch is less. And then we always relieve the tailbone area. So those two bones and your tailbone itself doesn't bear all the pressure. But when the stock seat is shaped like this, all that pressure goes to the center of your body. But this is the kind of support you want.
Perfect.
Okay.
A lot of science behind those seats, huh?
There's a lot
car seats like that.
Mhm.
Well, wait till you hear about, like, when you get a brand new bike out, and there have been many new bikes, a couple of the manufacturers decided they wanted to build 10 new models in 10 years. Tell our viewers how you go about making a seat? Because you're now custom making a seat for a brand new model. Tell us a little bit about how that is done.
Well, we do. We're constantly working on it. We have in our lab right now, we have a BMW R1800. We got a Harley Pan America in there, and we got a
Oh,
1200. So we're designing, we have to design the base plate so it works on the latches to the appendage like stock. You get a key lock or whatever. Then we start shaping a foam that's ergonomically correct. So we try to put you in the right position, and then we try to give you the concave support so you get more body square inches. Like on a Pan America, we increased body contact area by 300% square inch. Like their seat was literally shaped like that, and you had to put all your body weight right in the middle on your tailbone. We relieved the tailbone area, and we did that. But where it matches the side covers and a tank on a bike, it's no wider. It's just that our seat is shaped like this, comes like that. They were actually shaped like this, went like that, didn't went that, which was totally, it's like sitting on a 4-inch log.
well, they want you to stand up riding that bike. That's probably the difference because of the adventure. Now, Mike, that's good to hear about this. But when you take a look at your history in motorcycling over the years, certainly the pandemic had to be a challenge as it was for many people. How did you face and get through the pandemic? Or was it actually pretty good for you where people said, hey, I may not be able to go visit resorts, but I can go get on my motorcycle and go riding around. So how did you get through the pandemic?
Yeah, actually, COVID was a good thing for motorcycling, believe it or not. The motorcycle industry does not have enough bikes for sale because all the OEMs production was slower. A lot of people were staying home and they were fixing up the bikes they had in their garage. A lot of people started working from home and they had a couple hours a day they could go for a ride in the afternoon. So the motorcycle industry in general has been pretty darn good. It went flat in 08 with the Great Recession. And the industry cut in half in 08 about, and it stayed the same until last year and it started going up again. So it's been a really good thing for the motorcycle.
Well, in closing out this interview, do you think that we are, over the last couple of years, in a renaissance, a second coming of the golden age of motorcycling?
Could be, you know, like if you pay attention to the original equipment manufacturers, they're developing some beautiful stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
Harley Pan America, the BMW R18, you know, the things that people, Honda Goldwing is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Twin is unbelievable. I mean, you can't buy a bad bike anymore. And the motorcycle original equipment manufacturers are investing heavily into the industry. So they're not flat in their foresight. That's a good sign.
Are you currently doing anything with any of the electric motorcycle manufacturers like Zero and that?
We make Zero seats in the aftermarket, and we offer them 2 models, and then for the Lightning motorcycle, we make the OEM seat.
Where's Corbin Seats going in the future now?
Well, what we do is we just try to stay current with the industry. We work harder than anybody else in our field, keeping up with the bike. So
Absolutely.
what customer buys, we're on top of it all the time. They're calling us and asking us for a seat for that new model, and then we're doing that.
Well, I'll share a quick story there. When you get a Corbin custom seat, if there's something that's not exactly right about it, as long as you can detail it out, you can send it back and they will absolutely take care of whatever the issue is and send it back. Now, I've had 2 seats that I've done that. And one time, because of the mass amount of people doing things with their bikes, it looked like it was going to be maybe a couple more weeks longer than I wanted. And I sent an email to Mike, and Mike sent an email to his guy, and I got my seat turned around pretty quick. But I have to tell you that is my number one choice. And as a motorcyclist for all my life, I'm 70 now. I've been riding since I've been probably 9 or 10. And I can tell you that Corbin is my number one go-to seat. And as I've gotten several off you, both for using and purposes of testing and stuff, and for purposes of my own, where I purchased them, and I've never had a bad Corbin seat. And I think that's the best testament I can give to you, is that you buy them again.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. On behalf of all of our people, I can tell you, we work hard as we possibly can for every rider, you know.
Well, one
Things fall through the cracks and sometimes we miss a strike, but we always are there we never let anything stay bad. We always try to fix it up there.
good customer service. And I will point out that they have 2 locations. Whenever I go to Daytona, I try and stop in the store in and around Daytona, and then another one in California. And I'd like to get out there someday, maybe when I get to ride the Pacific Coast. Now that I'm retired, I wouldn't be surprised if I don't knock on your door someday, Mike.
Close to California Highway, Pacific Coast Highway, you know. We're only 40.
Good.
For
I know. I'm making the plan. That's probably the last bucket list ride. So
for the rest of us that don't get out, how can we find you? We can buy stuff online or at local shops here in Northeast Ohio, Western Pennsylvania.
Corbin.com. That's
Corbin.com.
the best website there is in the world for motorcycles.
There you go.
Hey, Mike, you make anything else besides seats?
We make fairings and saddlebags.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Seats are our mainstay.
The primary thing. Okay.
We've actually made over 1 million motorcycles.
A million motorcycle seats. Wow.
Starting from the one you actually took off your own bike, right?
Yeah, that's right. One was
So that's how it all starts. But like Larry's right. It's all about customer service, and Dave can attest to this too. It's customer service, and the way you treat people is the way you get business.
They come back then. Yep.
and be part of it. Like my wife
That's a
and
big thing. I want to ask.
Father's Day, and she bought me breakfast at my favorite restaurant down there. We're on a Harley Street Glide. And, I'm 77 and we're still riding. My wife and I are going to ride the Sturgis this year in August. The thing about it is, to me, it's not so much a business, but it's kind of being part of my passion of motorcycling with the people that are like me, thinking like me, the people that love motorcycling. Yeah. So it's not really so much a business as totally understanding what you enjoy yourself.
It's called a passion.
Yep. You got the passion. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave, to follow up with Dave here from, Mahoning County, or from Mahoning Auto, it's been your passion forever too.
Yeah, I was going to ask Mike something. I've got an old 305 Scrambler Honda. I bet he doesn't have any seats for that.
Well, we can fix your seat.
Yeah.
The good news is that Scrambler has a metal base plate on.
Yeah,
That's right.
I had a 305 back in the 70s.
yeah.
What would you
Actually, it was
send?
custom done.
The thing about the 305, I was a Triumph dealer also in those days from 69 to 73. And that 305 Honda Scrambler would whoop all those Triumphs. Remember that?
Yeah, it's about 55. I'll tell you what, guys, I had a 305 Scrambler, and that thing damn near crippled me. It took me right to the scene of the accident when I jumped the hill out behind my dad's house. And at that time, I always wore helmets, all the gear, but for whatever reason, I was trying to impress the girl on top of the hill. So I just had my penny loafers, blue jeans, and a t-shirt. And I jumped that hill pretty good. And when I come down, I had one bounce on the rear wheel, one on the front, and then hit the house. Boy,
They weren't made for jumping.
God, I hate it when I fall off and there's people watching. The part that hurts the most.
So you can make it.
Go ahead.
You can make a seat for that 305, no problem.
We could use the base plate and work it out. Yeah. We restore them.
We got about 4 minutes here. If you're listening to this, you're listening to Street Scene Power Hour on Buzzsprout. And, if you're watching this later, it's Street Scene Power Hour on Armstrong Neighborhood channel on your YouTube site, or on Armstrong locally on Armstrong Channel 100 on Armstrong Cable. Like I said, we have about 4 minutes. You know, again, we can find you, Mike, we can find you on what, Corbin.com.
Corbin.com.
Yep. And Dave, where can we find you online, and where can we find you locally here in the Mahoning Valley?
I think he's froze.
Oh, wait,
Oh,
Can you hear us, Dave?
Yeah, I'm on.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm at mahoningauto.com.
Mahoningauto.com. And,
Hey.
you know, go
Hey,
ahead.
Dave,
Rick.
if I wanted to get a car appraised, what do I have to do?
Just give me a call, give me a day or two notice.
Okay. Is there a set
I go
price?
15-mile radius, no extra charge, and I'll go, price is $85 for consulting and generally $150 to $185 for certified appraisals. And that depends on whether it's a stock vehicle or street rod.
Okay.
We get into checking numbers other than a motor number or something like that, then there's additional fee for that.
Okay.
Okay. And, you know, we've got a couple minutes here, but anything to add, Larry?
yeah, I will add that, you know, I've had a variety of motorcycles, and I love them all, but I don't keep them all. But I've enjoyed many of them over the years. And one of the ones that I had was a 2001 Hayabusa. And at that time, that bike was a D-restricted model. After like that year, I don't know, 2002, I think they restricted them to like 170 mile an hour. But that bike I had could almost, if I was lighter, probably could do 200. But I know I had it up to about 173 on I-95 with the GPS.
Ouch.
Well, I just wanted to be able to do that so I could sit on TV shows and say, look what I did.
He's
All
doing
right.
a pedal.
That bike is a world-class bike. It's got a longer wheelbase, and it's not a good bike through going through Dale's Gap, but it is a good bike through, you know, some of the Teleco plains, something like that, where they're long sweepers. But the point I was going to make when Mike talks about the other part of his business, the fairings and that, he has some of the most beautiful, well thought out and saddlebags that fit on a Hayabusa that don't look out of place, that continues to keep the sculptured lines. I mean, this thing's like a bullet, you know. And I just want to compliment Mike, because I've seen those bags on several Hayabusas, and they just absolutely look gorgeous. So yeah, we talked a lot about his seats, but he does a lot of good things in a lot of other areas like the fairings and the saddlebags.
Excellent. And again, Corbin.com. Go ahead, Rick.
Hey, Mike, I've been sitting in this bar stool here now at my house for about an hour and a half. You think you could help me out with my seat?
We have to make our schools.
Really? God, my butt is so sore right now.
Get a new butt.
Did you guys see that Barstool racer at the Father's
Yes.
Day show?
Yes.
Oh man, that would be good until you tried to go fast around a
Mhm.
bend, and I don't know what happened. I think you fell off. Now
Right.
it's just like you're at a bar.
Yeah, I feel like you had like 10 beers and then you are riding. You know?
Yeah.
Those motorized bar stools, you wear a helmet. A lot of people.
You're right. You
Mhm.
better.
Well,
Hey, what about those GoPeds? Did you guys see those by any chance? Those GoPeds sit next to that Barstool racer? Rick?
What's the GoPed?
GoPed is like it's like a skateboard with handles in a 50cc weed whacker motor with a tuned pipe on the back,
I
and
didn't
you
see
skid
that
on
one.
it with one foot. It's like a scooter, you know,
Uh-huh.
that you push, you know, with one foot. Only this thing will rip, man. And I was
Yeah,
like
sure.
looking up on the internet when I got home that night, and I thought this would be perfect for my soon-to-be 9-year-old grandson. You know, well, he's got to learn.
Yeah.
put a governor on the thing.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, we could fix that.
Well, you know, we're going to wrap it up here. I wanted to thank Mike and Dave for joining us. Again, you can find Corbin Seats at Corbin.com, and you can find Mahoning Auto at MahoningAuto.com, correct? I have just one more trivia question for you. I'm going to get you, Larry.
Okay.
Chicken strips. Chicken
What?
strips.
Oh, come on, man. I'm the guy that has the least chicken strips on my bike. It's the little edge. It's when you go around a bend and you're dragging a knee. And if you do that enough, it leaves a mark on the sidewall of the tire. The closer the mark gets to the very edge of the tire, the more balls you got. So
I'm goodbye. I'm out of here.
I quit. I quit.
You answered them all.
I quit. And I had one for the car, guys. Let's see if I can find it. Where did that go from? What do you call hides? Hides.
Leather. Seat material.
No, there's hides, but they say it's tires.
Tires.
Hides on your car.
I thought it would be seat material.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that one. And of course, they have the huffer, which is called a supercharger for, we call that the huffer. So I'll leave you those. I've got many more for all of you that hated that part of this show.
Yes,
I've
I
got
hate it.
plenty more for you guys
Okay.
at our next.
And push your complaints to Greg Roden at.
Yeah, I usually get all the complaints. Thank you for joining us for the Street Scene Power Hour. Make sure you're tuned into Buzzsprout for our next episode. And thank you, Dave. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
And
Mike Corbin, thank you, buddy.
Thank you, guys.
Nice,
see
nice
you
being with all of you.
we'll
Nice
see
Hey,
you
Rick.
where- down the road.
No, wait, Rick.
Yes.
Hey, Rick. See you down the road.
See you. Come on. You took my line.